Welcome to the Retirement Wealth Podcast, where we dive deep into the ins and outs of retirement planning. And today we've got a really important topic to discuss.
Absolutely, Emily. With inflation being such a hot topic lately, it's crucial for retirees and those planning for retirement to understand how to build income streams that can keep pace with rising costs.
Exactly. Many people might not realize how inflation can erode their purchasing power over time. So we're going to break that down.
Right, and we'll also explore different strategies for creating income streams that are not only reliable, but also adjusted for inflation, which is key for ensuring your retirement savings last.
And we'll touch on some common pitfalls to avoid, which can really help people feel more secure in their financial future.
Plus, we'll share some practical tips that listeners can start implementing right away to make sure they're on the right path.
It's going to be a rich discussion, so let's get into it.
Let's dive into the first point. Understanding the impact of inflation on your retirement savings. So, Emily, when we talk about building inflation-adjusted income streams, it's really crucial to understand why this is even more pressing right now. I mean, if you look at the past couple of years, inflation has been a real concern for many retirees and pre-retirees.
Absolutely, David. I think a lot of people are feeling the pinch, Even if they've planned well, rising prices can quickly erode purchasing power. It's like one moment you think you're set, and then, boom! Your budget doesn't stretch as far as it used to.
Exactly. Let's say someone is retiring now with a fixed income plan based on their pre-retirement budget. They might not have accounted for, say, a 5 or 6% inflation rate. That's a big jump from the usual 2 or 3% we've seen in the past.
Right. And what's interesting is that many folks might not realize that just because they've saved enough for the lifestyle they want, that doesn't mean it'll still be enough in 10 or 15 years.
Yeah, I worked with a couple last year. Let's call them Tom and Linda. They had planned a comfortable retirement, but when we factored in current inflation rates, it became clear that their income might not keep pace with their expenses. They were looking at some tough decisions down the line.
That's a tough spot to be in. It must be hard for them to wrap their heads around that, especially when they've worked so hard to save.
It is. And it brings up the emotional side of planning, too. You've spent decades saving, and now you're faced with the reality that your savings might not provide the security you hoped for. It can be really disheartening.
For sure. And then there's the market volatility we've seen recently. It doesn't help, right? People are worried about their investments and how they'll react during unpredictable times.
Yes, and that's the thing. Many retirees are reliant on their investments to generate income. When the market takes a dip, it can feel like a double whammy. Rising costs and falling portfolio values. It's a lot to juggle.
And let's not forget healthcare costs. They continue to climb. I mean, even with Medicare, there are still significant out-of-pocket expenses. It's wild how quickly those can add up.
Exactly, Emily. A recent study found that a couple retiring at age 65 could expect to spend over $300,000 on healthcare throughout their retirement. That's a huge chunk of change. And it's not something many people plan for adequately.
That's a staggering number. And with potential changes to Social Security on the horizon, I can see how that adds another layer of uncertainty.
Right. With the trust fund projected to run low in the next decade, it's hard to know what benefits will look like. If people are counting on that income, they might need to rethink their strategies to be more resilient.
It's like everything is interconnected. You really can't just look at one piece of the puzzle without considering the others, can you?
Absolutely. And then there's legacy planning, too. Many retirees want to leave something behind for their children or grandchildren, but if they're not careful with their income streams, they could end up leaving a legacy of financial worry instead.
Yes! And I think many people don't realize how much peace of mind comes from knowing that they've set things up properly. It's not just about the numbers. It's also about the emotional security that comes with feeling financially stable.
Well put. I had a conversation with a retiree named Sarah last year. She had been so focused on building her nest egg, but when we discussed her income strategy, she realized she needed to adjust her approach to ensure she could maintain her lifestyle and still have something to pass on. That shift in mindset was really eye-opening for her.
It's amazing how just a little bit of planning can make such a difference. So with all these challenges, inflation, market volatility, rising healthcare costs, and the uncertainty around Social Security, it's clear that building those inflation-adjusted income streams is more important than ever.
Exactly. and it's all about being proactive rather than reactive. By planning ahead, people can create a strategy that not only protects them from inflation and market swings, but also gives them the freedom to enjoy their retirement.
And I love that idea. Freedom in retirement. So what are some of the core strategies to help listeners build those income streams?
Well, there are several approaches we can discuss that can really make a difference. So, Emily, when we talk about building inflation-adjusted income streams, one of the first things that comes to mind is the importance of asset allocation.
Right. I mean, it's like the foundation of your retirement plan, isn't it?
Exactly. A common rule of thumb is the 70/30ths rule, where you might allocate 70% of your portfolio to stocks and 30% to bonds. This can help balance growth potential with some stability.
And stocks are generally more volatile, right? But they also provide that potential for higher returns over time.
Yes, and that's crucial, especially considering inflation. You want your investments to outpace inflation so your purchasing power remains intact.
So how does that allocation change as someone gets closer to retirement?
Well, typically as you approach retirement, people tend to shift towards a more conservative approach, maybe a 60/40ths or even a 50/50 split. You want to protect your nest egg while still having some growth potential.
Right, and this is where bonds come in, right? They can provide some stability and regular income.
Precisely, but not all bonds are created equal. You want to consider things like duration and credit quality. Shorter duration bonds can be less sensitive to interest rate changes.
And then there are tax-advantaged accounts too, like IRAs and 401ks. Those can play a big role in your strategy, can't they?
Absolutely. Using these accounts effectively can help reduce your taxable income during retirement. For instance, with a Roth IRA, your withdrawals are tax-free if you're over 59.5 and have had the account for at least 5 years.
So it's like you're locking in your tax rate now, which can be really beneficial if you expect to be in a higher bracket later.
Exactly. And let's not forget about required minimum distributions, or RMDs. If you have a traditional IRA, you'll need to start taking distributions at age 72, which can impact your income strategy.
Right, and that's especially important if you have a mix of tax-deferred and tax-free accounts. You want to strategize those withdrawals carefully.
Yes, one effective strategy is the bucket approach. You can set up different buckets for short-term, medium-term, and long-term needs.
Oh, I love that idea. So you would have one bucket for immediate expenses that's more liquid, maybe cash or short-term bonds?
Exactly. Then, your medium-term bucket could have a mix of bonds and dividend-paying stocks for a bit more growth, while your long-term bucket would focus on growth-oriented investments like stocks.
And that way, you're not forced to sell your investments during a market downturn, right?
Yes, that's key. You want to have enough liquidity in the short-term bucket to ride out any market volatility.
Let's talk about Social Security for a minute. That can be a big part of someone's retirement income strategy.
Definitely. The age at which you claim benefits can significantly impact your monthly income. Claiming early at 62 means you'll get reduced benefits compared to waiting until your full retirement age, or even 70.
And that's a critical decision, isn't it? Some people might need the income right away, but if you can hold off, it can really pay off in the long run.
Exactly. Waiting can mean a benefit increase of about 8% per year after your full retirement age, so it's worth considering your overall financial picture and needs.
And what about annuities? I know some people look at those for guaranteed income.
Yes, annuities can provide a steady income stream, which is appealing for many retirees. But, they come with their own complexities and fees, so it's essential to understand what you're getting into.
Right, it's like weighing the pros and cons. You want to ensure that it fits into your overall income strategy.
Absolutely. And don't forget about diversification. A well-diversified portfolio can help mitigate risks.
So you're not putting all your eggs in one basket, right?
Exactly. You might consider diversifying across asset classes, sectors, and even geographies. This can help protect your portfolio from market fluctuations.
And it's also important to consider tax implications when planning your withdrawals, right?
Yes, tax efficiency can make a big difference. For instance, withdrawing from taxable accounts first can allow your tax-advantaged accounts to continue growing.
That makes sense. And it's all about maximizing your income while minimizing taxes.
Exactly. There are also opportunities for tax loss harvesting in taxable accounts, where you can offset gains with losses.
Wow, I didn't even think about that. It's like a hidden strategy that can save you money.
It really is. And sometimes simple adjustments to how and when you withdraw from your accounts can lead to significant savings.
So it sounds like there are many moving parts to consider, and having a solid plan in place is critical.
Definitely. And that brings us to some common pitfalls that people often encounter. It's easy to overlook certain aspects of retirement planning, especially when it comes to inflation and income strategies.
Yeah, and I can see how it could be overwhelming for someone just starting to think about retirement.
Exactly. But with the right strategies and guidance, it can be manageable and even empowering.
Let's dive into those pitfalls next.
So Emily, one of the biggest pitfalls I see often is the sequence of returns risk. It's that risk where the timing of your withdrawals can really impact your portfolio.
Right, I've heard about that. It's like, if you experience market downturns early in retirement and you're withdrawing funds at the same time, that can really hurt your long-term sustainability, right?
Exactly. I had a client, let's call him John. He retired in 2007, right before the financial crisis hit. He had a nice nest egg, but he was withdrawing money right when the market was plummeting, and it severely affected his portfolio.
That sounds really tough. So what happened to John?
Well, he was forced to make some difficult decisions. He ended up having to cut back on his spending and delay some of the travel he'd been looking forward to. If he'd just been a little more strategic about his withdrawals, he might have avoided that.
Wow, that really emphasizes the importance of planning your withdrawals carefully.
For sure. And another common mistake is ignoring taxes in the withdrawal strategy. Many people don't realize that their withdrawals can impact their tax bracket.
Oh, I see what you mean.
Right. I had another client, let's call her Susan. She was withdrawing from her traditional IRA without considering the tax implications. She ended up in a higher tax bracket, which, reduced her overall income for the year.
That must have been frustrating for her.
Definitely. If she had planned her withdrawals to include a mix of accounts, like her Roth IRA, she could have kept her tax liability lower.
That's such a good point. So it's about being strategic with where the money is coming from.
Exactly. Another area where I see people underestimate is healthcare costs and longevity. Many retirees don't factor in the rising costs of healthcare or the possibility of living longer than expected.
That can catch people off guard, can it?
Yes, it can. I worked with a couple, let's call them Mike and Lisa. They thought they had enough saved for their retirement, but they didn't account for Lisa's health issues that developed a few years in.
That sounds like a tough situation.
It was. They had to dip into their savings more than they anticipated, which put a strain on their finances. They thought they were okay, but healthcare can be a wild card.
So what's the lesson there?
The lesson is to have a realistic view of your healthcare needs. Consider long-term care insurance, or at least have a plan in place for those potential costs.
And what about asset allocation?
Ah, yes. That's another common pitfall. A lot of retirees become too conservative too quickly. They move most of their money into bonds or cash, thinking that will protect them.
But that can limit growth, right?
Exactly. I had a client named Tom who did just that. He was so focused on not losing money that he missed out on potential growth. Inflation eroded his purchasing power over time, and he was left with less than he needed.
So it's about finding that balance, isn't it?
Yes, a balanced approach is key. You want to have some growth potential even in retirement.
What about Social Security? I know that can be a tricky area for many.
Absolutely. Many people claim Social Security too early, thinking it's just free money, but they don't realize that delaying benefits can actually increase their monthly income significantly.
Right. I've heard that it can be up to 8% more for each year you delay after full retirement age.
Exactly. I had a client named Karen who started claiming at 62. She thought she needed the income, but by claiming early, she reduced her benefits for the rest of her life.
That's a tough lesson to learn.
It really is. If she'd waited until her full retirement age or even longer, she would have had a much more comfortable income stream.
So what are some red flags people should look out for?
Great question. If you notice that your spending habits are changing drastically, or if you're feeling stressed about your finances, that's a red flag. it might mean it's time to reassess your plan.
And I guess if someone is relying solely on one income source, that's also a concern, right?
Exactly. Diversifying your income streams can really help mitigate risks. If you're too reliant on Social Security or one investment, it can be risky.
So, what are some actionable steps someone can take to avoid these pitfalls?
Well, first I'd say have a comprehensive financial plan that includes a withdrawal strategy. It's crucial to model different scenarios to see how your portfolio would hold up.
That makes sense.
Also, consider working with a financial advisor who can provide guidance tailored to your situation.
And what about regularly reviewing your plan?
Absolutely. Life changes, markets change, and your plan should adapt accordingly. Regularly checking in can help catch any potential issues before they become bigger problems.
It really sounds like proactive planning is key.
Exactly. Stay informed and be willing to adjust your strategies as necessary. It can make all the difference in your retirement experience.
Such great advice, David.
Thank you, Emily. Remember, it's about building a sustainable income that can withstand the test of time.
And with that, let's transition into some next steps for our listeners to consider as they continue their retirement planning journey.
All right, so let's dive into some immediate steps that listeners can take right now to build those inflation-adjusted income streams.
Yeah, that sounds great. What's the first thing they should do?
Well, a good starting point is to review your current portfolio. Like, actually sit down and take a look at where your assets are. You might want to do this quarterly, just to keep everything fresh in your mind.
That makes sense. And what are they looking for specifically?
You want to assess how your investments are performing against inflation. Are they keeping pace? If not, it might be time to adjust your strategy or consider different asset classes.
Right. And speaking of adjustments, should they have specific tools in mind for this?
Absolutely. There are some great online calculators that can help with this. For instance, Vanguard, Fidelity, and Schwab all offer retirement calculators that can project how much you'll need to save and how your investments might perform over time.
Those tools are super helpful. I know many people often overlook them.
Yeah, and another valuable resource is the Social Security Administration's website, ssa.gov. You can check your benefits there and get projections on what you can expect in retirement.
That's really important. Social Security can be a big part of someone's income stream.
Exactly. And don't forget about tax implications. Using tax software can help you see how your withdrawals will affect your taxable income, which is crucial when planning for inflation.
That's a good point. So it's not just about what you have, but how you manage it.
Right. And if someone's looking for a more hands-on approach, I recommend financial planning apps like Personal Capital or Mint. They can give you a holistic view of your finances and help track your spending and investments.
Those apps can really simplify things and keep you organized.
Yes. And when it comes to habits, I suggest running retirement projections at least once a year. This helps you to visualize your financial future and see if you're on track to meet your goals.
So it's about staying proactive, not just reactive.
Exactly. And if you haven't already, consider setting aside a little time each month to educate yourself, whether that's reading books or listening to other retirement planning podcasts.
Do you have any book or podcast recommendations for listeners?
Sure. For books, I'd suggest The Boglehead's Guide to Retirement Planning. It's straightforward and packed with great advice. Another good one is How Much Money Do I Need to Retire by Todd Tresider.
I've heard great things about those. And what about podcasts?
There's the Retirement Answer Man podcast, which breaks down complex topics in a really digestible way. And The Mad Fientist focuses on financial independence and early retirement, which might inspire some listeners.
Those sound like fantastic resources.
They really are. And, it's never too late to improve your plan, even if you're already retired.
That's such an encouraging point. Moving forward is always possible.
Exactly. So once you have all these tools and knowledge, start small with your habits. Maybe you can set a reminder to review your portfolio or check those calculators regularly.
It sounds manageable, for sure. Just small steps can lead to big changes over time.
Absolutely. And, if you find yourself feeling overwhelmed, consider reaching out to a financial advisor. They can help you put together a personalized plan that accounts for inflation and all your unique circumstances.
That's a great option. It can really help to have that extra support.
Definitely. With these tools in your pocket, you're ready to strengthen your retirement plan. Let's recap what we've covered today. Well, Emily, as we wrap up this discussion, I think we've really highlighted some crucial points about building inflation-adjusted income streams.
Absolutely, David. One of the key takeaways is the importance of diversifying income sources. It just makes sense, right? Different streams can help cushion against inflation.
Right, and then we talked about the significance of keeping an eye on inflation rates. Understanding how inflation impacts your purchasing power is essential for planning effectively.
Definitely. And don't forget the role of annuities. They can provide a steady stream of income, which can be a real lifesaver in retirement.
Yes, and we also touched on the value of reviewing your income strategy regularly. Life changes, markets fluctuate, so it's wise to stay proactive.
Exactly. And remember, it's about building and protecting your retirement wealth. It's not just about having money saved up, but ensuring it works for you in the long run.
Well said, Emily. It's all about creating a financial strategy that evolves with you. So, as you think about your retirement, keep these points in mind.
And we encourage everyone to take action. If you found this episode helpful, please like and subscribe. And, share it with someone who's planning for retirement or already in it.
And we'd love to hear from you. Comment with your biggest takeaway or any questions you might have. Your insights are valuable.
Yes, we genuinely want to connect and support you on this journey.
And speaking of journeys, next time we're diving into how to invest in dividend growth stocks for retirement.
That's going to be an exciting discussion, so stay tuned for that.
Thanks for joining us today.
Take care, everyone.
Bye for now.